Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Welcome everybody to this meeting of the Northern Middlesex Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. We can go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. First item is welcome and introductions. So I'm going to call the roll, Justin, and see members are present.
I'm going to have Shrivanti call the roll today.
Oh, great. Sounds good. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Shrivanti. Yep.
Thank you. Massachusetts Secretary of Transportation and MassDOT CEO Gina Fiandaca.
Yes, Derek Cravat here representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO Gina Fiandaca.
MassDOT Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Yes, Brian Fallon representing Jonathan Gulliver, Highway Administrator.
NMMPO Chair Andrew Delorier.
Here.
NMMPO MPO Representative Pat Logis.
Here.
LRTA Board Chair Tom Bowell. I don't see Tom. LRTA MPO Representative Karen Pulio. I don't see her either. Lowell City Council Representative to NMCOG and the MPO, Dan Rohr. I don't see him either. Thank you all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Shrivanti. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the January 4th, 2023 meeting minutes. So I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse those minutes.
So moved.
Great.
Second, Pat Wojcik.
Great, thank you. So motion having been made and seconded, any comments, questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, can call the roll, Shrivanti.
Derek Cravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Delorier,
Yes.
Pat Logis.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So thank you. So that carries. Next item is the status report on TIP projects under design and construction. So you can start with District 4. I'll turn it over to the district.
Hello, Tim Paris, District 4 Planner. Let me just call up my copy. Oh, sorry. It likes to go to full screen and then I can't see my own copy. So there we go. 612609, Tewksbury intersection improvements at Main, Pleasant, North and East. That we have updated the tip year and the tip cost has been added in. 612096, the tip cost has been revised. Sorry, I didn't read off what it was. Westford Interstate Maintenance and Related Work on 495. 609510, Drake improvements at George Inglesby Elementary School. It's a Safe Routes to School project. We have new estimates on that, not a major change. 608227, Billerica Yankee Doodle Bike Path. That has a new add date. 607895, Lowell Pedestrian Walkway Bicycle Connection at Pawtucket Falls Overlook. We have deactivated that project. 605966, Lowell reconstruction related work on VFW Highway. That has a new estimate. 608774, the update, the add date on that has been revised. And that is all.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
No problem.
Any questions for Tim? Okay.
I
Seeing
have a
none.
couple. I have a couple of those.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Justin. Yep.
Let's see, where was it? The 605966 VFW Highway in Lowell. It's quite a big increase. Is there a reason it's gone up $3 million?
I don't know, and perhaps Brian, if you're up to date on what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think just through the addition of some pedestrian improvements on that project, I know we've added some sidewalk work. And just kind of basically taking into account a lot of the increases in costs, especially in the pavement costs, that drove the estimate up.
I know it's a target project and we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Mhm.
Also, 608-227, the Yankee Doodle bike path construction. What was the previous ad date on that?
February
February?
of 24. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none. Sarah, did you have an update for the District 3 projects at all?
Sorry, I was
Oh.
muted. Covered one project. I can give you a quick update. There's just a few Westford projects. There's a Westford Bridge over, let's see, it's 612656 Bridge Preservation Project that's due to be advertised in February, and that's on track. It's at final design. The Westford Bridge, Stony Brook over Stony Brook Brook is still on track for now. December ad date 2024. Let's see. Boston Road is at 75% design. That's in 2024 with a spring ad date. And those are the only ones that are programmed. So if you have any other questions.
Okay, Derek Schuster, go ahead.
Thanks, Derek. Sarah, just to clarify, the not Yankee Doodle, sorry, this Westford Stony Brook over Stony Brook is fiscal year 24, but it's December 2023.
Correct. So that's.
Yeah, I
fiscal
just
year.
wanted to make
Yep.
sure that was clear for folks on the call.
Yep, sorry about that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, thanks, Sarah. Next on the agenda is open forum, opportunity for public comment or anything from MPO members or stakeholders. Any public comments or items from members? All right, seeing none. If you do have anything, feel free to type that in the chat or use the raise hand function at any point, and we'll be sure to call on you throughout the meeting. With that, we can go to the next item, which is a performance measure update action item to adopt the state safety performance targets. So I'll turn it over to Justin to present on this one.
Okay. I tried to let Chris Timmel in and tried to open Zoom again.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so as part of our performance-based planning efforts, excuse me, federal requirements state that the NPO address safety performance on an annual basis, and the NPO adopted initial performance measures and targets for safety back in January of 2018, and have addressed updates to those targets every year since. So this is something that we do every year at this time of year. So this is important to the excuse me, this is important to the planning process. These targets that we consider here feed into development of our regional transportation plan, Envision 2050, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes, and are in the midst of updating, as well as the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, which we are embarking on the next TIP soon. So safety targets endorsed by the NPO, any kind of safety projects endorsed by the NPO through the TIP or the RTP, they should work toward achieving the targets that we consider here today. So with that, there are 5 performance measures that we'll go over here today, with the NPO considering each of the updated statewide targets presented. So just getting into it, the first 2 measures are fatalities and fatality rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And I'll go to the chart here on the next page. And so if you look at the chart on your screen, the top number is the number of fatalities based on a 5-year rolling average. The latest available data through 2021. The latest target set for 19 through 23 is based on the available data that we have, and the updated target is set at 355 fatalities, which is actually an increase from past years' targets, and this is really a result of the COVID pandemic, of reduction in total vehicle miles traveled in 2020, 2021, and increased speeding on the roadways, which led to more fatalities. And similarly, the fatality rate, which is your middle line here on the screen, and that's increased as well, mainly due to pandemic effects, with a new target set at 0.59 fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. Just as a reference, and I'll go back up here, the latest data in our region, fatalities and fatality rates, they really remain fairly consistent since 2008, and really haven't shown a huge increase like the state has. But we just wanted to point that out. And if you look at the straight numbers, I know it says 13.2 fatalities per year in the region. The state total 5-year average is, I think it's 55. So it's about 3%, 3.5% of the region's total. So the next set of performance measures involve serious injuries. So you've got total serious injuries and serious injury rate, which is rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. So looking at the chart, since years 2020 to 2020, don't really have full data available at the time the state set the targets. 2022 was projected to be equal to the lowest year available, which I believe is 2019, and 2023, the updated target were projected based on that number, and thus you actually see decreases in the serious injury rates, which it drops down to 2,569, and the decreases in the rate itself, which is 4.25. And looking regionally, the region serious injury rates 131. It's about 4.5% of the state total. The trends do show a consistent decrease from 2008. And as far as rate, the rate's a little bit higher than the state average, but it's been pretty consistent regionally since 2015. And the last and fifth performance measure for safety is the total number of non-motorized serious injuries and fatalities, and these involve crashes involving bicycles, pedestrians. In 2020, the numbers decreased dramatically, followed by an increase in 2021. And it continued during the beginning of 2022, which we don't have full data for 2022 as of yet. So this made developing the projections difficult. So the state assumed 2022 to be 3% higher than the lowest year of data available, and forecasted 2023 to be 3% lower than the 2022 year. Thus, when you look at the 5-year averages and the target, it came out to 437 in serious injuries and fatalities, which is a decrease of about 6% from the current projections. So with that, I hope I didn't butcher that too much here, but
That's
I
good.
have, yeah.
Yep, yeah.
So the last page is just a summary page of each of the performance measures and the targets that we're proposing the NPO to consider here today. And I can take any questions, or if anyone has any comments or additions to this, we can do that now.
Thanks, Justin. Any comments or questions? Might be helpful, Justin, if you just want to quickly speak to the sort of recommendation about adopting the state targets, or there is an option for region-specific targets, but I know in the past everyone's adopted the MassDOT target. Just to know, maybe just add a quick note about that.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So there's the option of adopting these proposed targets, which are the state targets, or having the NPO develop regional targets. Pretty much since we've undertaken this task, we've adopted the statewide targets. But if the NPO members want to go towards more regional, then we can develop those as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. So I think with that, then I would ask for a motion and second to endorse the state safety targets as presented by Justin. Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so a motion now having been made and seconded, I'll ask one more time, just in case if there's any questions, comments. All right, seeing none, I think you can call the roll, Shravanti.
Thank you. Derek Travad,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Delorier,
Yes.
Pat Lucis,
Yes.
Okay.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda is the Regional Long Range Transportation Plan and Vision 2050 updates. I'll turn it over to NMCOG staff to cover this one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Belanger. I will be covering Envision 2050. Watch the screen. Can you see my slides okay? Is it showing the notes?
No, we
No.
can just see the cover side. Yep.
Yeah,
Nope, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So as I said, my name is Jessica Belanger. I'm a transportation planner with NMCOG, and today I'll be providing an update on our Envision 2050. That's our new long-range regional transportation plan. Today, I'll start off by providing an agenda, which is an overview of the RTP. I'll discuss our performance measures for the plan. I'll provide a summary of our focus groups that we had just last week, and then I'll also provide a timeline in upcoming engagement activities. Then we'll finish up with questions. Envision 2050 is our comprehensive vision for the future of transportation in the NMCOG region. By projecting and planning for anticipated growth over a period of 30 years, this plan will establish a foundation for cost-effective, energy-efficient, and equitable transportation options for all users. The topic areas that we plan to cover with this plan are economic vitality, safety, infrastructure, environmental and climate resiliency, accessibility and mobility options, connectivity, and equity, with an emphasis on populations that have been historically marginalized. So on this slide, you'll see 3 of our goals. And the first goal is to improve safety in our transportation systems. And that directly ties into the measures that we just covered. So that's the fatality rates, serious injury rates, and non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So each goal has a measure directly tied to it. And the measures are how we'll measure our performance toward each goal. So the second is goal 2 is officially manage existing transportation assets and infrastructure. And we'll do that by looking at pavement condition, interstates, non-interstates, and bridges. That'll include asset management of vehicles, as well as vehicle revenue as it's attributed to the equipment and the facilities. Goal 3 will be improve travel time and reliability for goods and people. And we'll measure this by looking at peak hour service, service delays, single occupancy vehicle use, emissions and emission reductions, as well as the reliability of travel times for personal trips as well as freight. For goal 4, we will ensure that the transportation network supports economic development needs and accommodates future economic growth. And we'll do this by prioritizing projects that improve our region's economy, as well as expanding transportation access across the region. We'll also work towards improving access to employment centers, education facilities, healthcare facilities, and recreational opportunities. Goal 5, we will minimize and mitigate the impacts of the transportation system on our environment, including air quality, water quality, wildlife, and climate change. We'll do this by looking at roadways, transit networks, and also bike and pedestrian facilities. We'll focus on emission reduction projects in an effort to transition away from gas fuels. So we'll look at alternative fuel methods, as well as bike and pedestrian mode share options. Our goal number 6 will be provide equitable transportation access and service quality for all communities, with an emphasis on historically marginalized groups. And how we'll measure that is through monitoring transportation projects and investments. We'll monitor our TIP projects to ensure equitable access and service levels for marginalized populations. So I'll start off by talking a little bit about our focus group that took place on January 17th. From our focus groups, the major themes that we heard from the group was an interest in using more active modes of transportation. And they were looking for facilities really that make easier transportation options. So low stress travel networks for cyclists and pedestrians. Throughout the plan, we use the term rolling, and rolling includes users of wheelchairs, also folks with strollers, anything really that rolls, scooters. And what we heard from pedestrians and also people who that roll are that they'd like to see the traffic signal timings reviewed, crosswalk placements, and crossing distances. They're interested in seeing slower speeds throughout the region, and sidewalk maintenance and pavement marking maintenance. The cyclist on the call mentioned that bike parking was a challenge, and they're looking for policies that support bike parking and transit services. And they're also looking for more dedicated lanes for cycling, as well as infrastructure to support or more active modes of transportation. Our region consists of 1,762 miles of roadway. We have 345 miles of trails, 572 miles of sidewalk, and 25.3 miles of bike facilities. Some of the critical challenges facing our region are a lack of maintenance in terms of infrastructure. This includes sidewalks, also pavement, as well as challenges with bike parking. We heard a little bit about some challenges with finding areas to safely park your bike, and then also the limited access of transit. Throughout our region, you can see this chart displays some bike-related crashes as well as pedestrian-related crashes over a series of years. We do see a slight dip in the year 2020, but then you can see a steady sort of increase on both bike and pedestrian crashes. Our second focus group was related to the LRTA and LRTA service. We talked a little bit about our fixed route bus service. This chart represents the fixed route bus ridership, and you can see that there is a steady decrease in the year 2020, which happened really across the board, but the numbers are slowly coming back. The LRTA operates 19 bus routes, 42 bus routes in peak service. We cover about 255 miles inbound and outbound. The LRTA services 8 of our 9 communities. They have 19 minibuses or COA vehicles during peak service. They have 11 minibuses in Lowell based on the ADA peak service. On this chart, you can see the demand response ridership, and you'll see in 2020, it took a slight dip, but the numbers are slowly coming back, which we like to see. The major themes for our transit user focus group that I'll mention were direct access to the MBTA and the North Billerica train station. That was a concern that many residents on the call mentioned. Easier connections to Boston Logan Airport. There was a strong interest in more frequent service and reliable service times, as well as access to health and human services appointments for seniors. We noticed that there was an interest in communicating more across the COAs. So for example, Billerica and Dracut, or Chelmsford and Westford, just speaking a little bit more on the COA service. And there was also a growing interest in understanding the LRTA ticketing system, as well as redeeming the fare credit. The timeline for this project, we're currently in phase 1. So we held our focus group this month. And in February, we'll continue with drafting our plan. We also will continue our outreach, and our survey will be closing at the end of February. In March, we have our second public forum, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. In the month of June, we plan to present our draft plan before the NPO, and then there'll be a 21-day public comment period, and in July, we'll ask for endorsement. So on March 22nd, 2023, we're asking folks to save the date. This is our second public event where we will be talking a little bit about our Envision 2050 plan in person. We also will be sharing some of our findings from our survey during that time. And this event will be from 6 to 7 at Lancet at UMass Lowell, and that's at room 305. So we'll be updating our registration and sending out more information about the event this week. And then here's a just page with some contact information. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Jessica. That was great. Any questions for Jessica? All right. Seeing none, and are those slides available online, or would you be able to make them available to members?
Sure, absolutely. We can include it can be emailed.
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. As we're updating our statewide long range plan as well, I think we're hearing a lot of similar public feedback, and it'd be great to have that for us to make sure we're representing that in our statewide plan as well. So be great. Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll be glad to share.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. And good job, Jessica. Next item on the agenda then is the federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment 2 to endorse this amendment. So Justin, did you want to give a quick overview?
Sure. So, so on your screen is a summary of draft federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 TIP Amendment number 2. And as a recap, this involves programming a construction cost estimate increase for a project that will improve intersections along Route 38 near the Tewksbury Lowell line. And I believe most of those improvements include upgrades to electrical systems for the traffic signals in place at various intersections around the 495 Route 38 interchange. And so this project is proposed to be advertised on February 4th, hence the need for this amendment and the need for the early January NPO meeting where we release this for public comment. And so the amendment involves the cost estimate increased, and it's due to, like, as design, the progression of design. The cost estimate is increased from about 3.3 million to just over 4 million, increase of around $709,000. Thus the need for an amendment to the TIP. So we at the last meeting we put this out for a shortened public comment period due to the fact that this project is going towards advertisement in early January or early February. So we reduced the public comment period to 15 days. And since then the comment period has ended. We have received no comments on it. So with that, we just need today consideration by the NPO to endorse this amendment as presented today.
Thank you, Justin. So with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse the amendment as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Great, thank you. So motion having been made and seconded, are there any questions for Justin or comments? Great, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Tariq Rawal,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Delorier,
Yes.
Pat Loches.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. So next on the agenda is the federal fiscal year 2024 through 2028 Transportation Improvement Program Development Timeline. Turn it over to Justin again for this one.
Okay. Thank you. So we've talked about amending the present tip. Now we're on to discussing the next tip, which is federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028, and anticipating going into effect on October 1st of this year. So when I sent out the NPO meeting announcement, I included this schedule of activities and key meeting dates for development of the next tip as we go through our efforts. And this includes funding for projects program from fiscal year 2024 to 2028. So on your screen, we'll just go through the schedule of events. So it's January. We're kind of kicking off the efforts of development of the next tip. So at this meeting, we present the development schedule to the NPO. And some of the key dates that are coming up on Friday, there is a meeting between MARPA and MassDOT to discuss guidance, financial guidance, and narrative guidance for development of the next tip, of which we just received an email from MassDOT with that information, and we're currently looking at it, which leads us into February. So in February, in addition to reviewing the financial information, we'll start evaluating current program projects as well as newer projects that are not on the tip at this point. And on February 8th, staff will meet with Mass DOT staff, the different groups of Mass DOT Highway Division, to discuss project status and recommendations from them on programming years, and that's what we call our tip readiness day. And at the February NPO meeting on the 22nd, we'll provide the results of that meeting, as well as any of the financial and narrative guidance that comes from our federal and state partners. Which leads us into March, and in March, MassDOT typically provides the statewide project list to NPO staff. And so these projects are kind of outside of our target funds. They're not subject to regional financial constraint. And so with that data and with the results of tip readiness days and our financial information, staff will develop multiple scenarios for programming the tip, and we'll present that to the NPO, and members will vote to move forward with a preferred scenario. And once we have that preferred scenario in place, we'll write up a draft document and present that to the NPO in April. And at that April NPO meeting, members will consider releasing the draft for a public comment period. And which leads us into May, where staff will hold a public meeting to hear any comments on the draft tip. And once we compile the comments, we'll draft responses to those comments. We'll edit the document and finalize it for NPO members to consider endorsement at the May NPO meeting. And once we got that endorsed, we'll distribute it to our federal and state partners to go through their approval process, their review and approval process. And if everything goes appropriately and on track, it will be ready to go October 1st, 2023. So that's the schedule for development of the tip over the next few months. And I can take any questions on that.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin? All right. Seeing none. Thanks. That's a good overview. And I like how your photos correspond to the months as well. That's nice.
Yeah. February, we're inside.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Well, next on our agenda then is other business. Is there any other business from MPO members? All right, seeing none, I think the only thing I'll say on behalf of MassDOT is that I think registration is now open for our May 2023 conference, the Innovation Conference being held in Worcester. So folks are interested and encourage folks to check that out. But other than that, nothing on our end. Next agenda item is the next meeting date. It's currently scheduled for February 22nd, 2023. And I think with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, I think without objection, we're adjourned. So thank you, everybody, and see you back here next month.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
All right, bye.